Question, true or false? You find out that you and your boo have incompatible astrological signs. This means you have to break up as you will never make it work. The answer is true. What? I didn't make up the zodiac. Hi, I'm Samantha Biddy, sexual health and consent educator. And in this episode of Sexy Sexual Health Education, we're going to be talking about how to break up. Similar to other aspects of sexual health, dating, and relationships, because all of our situations are as unique as each individual in relation to each of those individuals, there's no overarching truth or narrative of how to break up. So in this video, I can't exactly tell you how to break up. Oof, am I out of a job? But what I can do is offer some considerations and principles that you can weigh your situation against and make a decision that's right for you and right for the person that you're breaking up with. A little disclaimer, sometimes in relationships there are power dynamics or instances where our emotional or physical safety is at risk if we are to reject someone or to break up with them in certain ways. This is by no means reflective of that. If you need support in breaking up with someone because you're in an abusive situation or a situation that has the ability to affect your safety or your resources, make sure that you are checking in with the different supports available at your school and in your community, and I will link those at the end of the video. As I said, I don't know what's up with you. I don't know what's up with your relationships. I don't know what your reasons are. Maybe you don't even have a reason. But what I would like to offer you is some tools to help you evaluate the best approach for you to break up with somebody. I present to you the 4 A's of how to break up. The first A is assess. Assess the situation, both at the individual level, like what's going on with you, as well as the relationship as a whole. In order to decide on which approach is going to be an appropriate, empathetic way of disconnecting from that person, you're going to want to take stock of like what actually happened there. If you've only been on a few dates and you decide, you know what, not really in anymore, maybe a text message or a phone call is a totally reasonable way to terminate that relationship. But if you've been living together or together for years or know each other's families, the disconnect might have to be a little more time and emotion and energy invested. One of the things that makes breaking up really hard is chances are if this person isn't like treating you terribly, you might have fond memories, or when you see them, they're really cute and you're like, I can't break up with them. They're so cute. If you take the time to assess your reasons or lack of reasons, that can help you stay firm in your decision to end the relationship. So what's going on with you? Why do you want to break up? Maybe it's about you and the energy you have to give to a relationship. Maybe you're not on the same page because they're super invested and you aren't, or you're super invested and they aren't. Whatever the situation is, if you assess for you why you want to end a relationship, when you go to actually end it, you're like, okay, even though this person is distractingly gorgeous, like how I'm sure everyone has ever felt when they've broken up with me, I know this is the right decision, and so that helps me to feel confident. The last but not least point of assessment is, what is your emotional or mental capacity to perform this breakup? The thing is, there are so many ways to reject someone or to break it off with someone. Some of them are intentional and direct, like saying, hey, I don't want to see you anymore. And some of them are less intentional and less direct, like never speaking to someone again and never telling them why. Some of those ways are loving and see others as whole, and some of those ways are less loving or more selfish. And listen, no judgment. We all have different reasons for doing the things we do, but if you take the time to assess and then also honor what your capacity is to break it off with somebody, you're going to be able to walk away from that situation feeling closure and hopefully offering that other person closure as opposed to just ghosting them. There's a reason it's called ghosting, because we stay haunted. Whether we're the person who's been ghosted or we did the ghosting, there's always like, oop, are they going to be around that corner? Are they going to be in that class? Am I going to hear from them again? Any person would rather get the wackest text than nothing at all. Hit me up if you would rather hear nothing at all. I would love to know. Our second A is articulate. How do we articulate this breakup? Through the assessment period, you have decided the means of which you're going to break up. What are we going to say? How do we articulate we're no longer together? This is a quick A because I can't give you specifics necessarily. You have to know your own reasons, but the one piece of advice I would give is be clear. Be so clear. Mirror back what that person is saying and make sure that you're leaving the conversation with the conclusion that you intended when you entered it. There's nothing worse than breaking up with someone and them not knowing you just broke up with them. You also want to be clear about what you're available for in the unpacking. The third A is acknowledge. Acknowledge their feelings. Anytime there is a rejection, we gonna have some feelings about it. Sometimes that feeling is relief and sometimes that feeling is like, no, but as the breaker-upper, you want to acknowledge how that person's feeling. You also want to acknowledge your own feelings. Just because you're the breaker-upper doesn't mean that you don't have hurt feelings, sad feelings, angry feelings, confused feelings. Your feelings are equally important to be acknowledged. Self-awareness around our feelings is about finding the appropriate containers to process those feelings. You can keep that right-sized. There is going to be a different amount of acknowledgement required for every different situation. This isn't about taking a disproportionate amount of responsibility for what's happened. Acknowledging someone's feelings isn't necessarily agreeing with their feelings. It's important to validate their feelings, and the ideal is that we are a witness to their feelings. Not necessarily a container, not necessarily trying to change how they feel, not arguing or gaslighting, just witness. Witness in a proportionate way. We were doing a thing, we're no longer doing a thing. That makes you feel a certain way. Here we are. The instinct can be to try to make it better, but that's not our job in life, to make other people feel better. Our job as empathetic creatures is to be considerate of how our actions impact others, not to be responsible for their actual feelings. However, that does bring us to our fourth A, which is accountability. Accountability in a breakup can mean a few different things. First, you want to be accountable to yourself. Be honest about what you're available for, very much not saying things that you don't mean. It might be you're available for nothing, or it might mean, yeah, I'm able to still be friends with you. Accountability is about setting realistic expectations so that people can make consensual decisions on how they're also going to process that breakup, whether that's with you or with another person. Being honest with yourself is going to be very crucial, but sometimes in a breakup, we run into the issue of how honest do we want to be with that other person? There can be such a thing as too much honesty, where the honesty is not going to benefit that person in any way. It's not going to move the situation forward. It's not about you saving face or being selfish. It's about being considerate of how the truth might make another person feel. In the trivia question, I said that if you and your boo have incompatible astrological signs, you have to break up. While that might be my own personal philosophy and astrological beliefs, what I'm actually trying to say is that relationships, being, successful, fulfilling, what it is that we want to do and be involved in, has so much to do with compatibility, and often so much less to do with like they're a bad person or I'm a bad person or I'm good and they're good. So many times we want to break up with someone, we don't, because we're like, oh, but they're a good person, or oh, they're so nice, or they did this for me, and blah, 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 blah. But when we separate people from the problem, when we acknowledge that sometimes some shit is just incompatible, doesn't sit well, isn't healthy, then it feels a lot less difficult to do. Breaking up can be really hard, really awkward. We don't want to hurt people's feelings. Rejection sucks. But remember that in consent culture, we are operating from a place that is empathetic and seeing others as whole, and we're willing to experience moments of discomfort for the greater well-being of the collective community. That's it for this episode of Sexy Sexual Health Education. But until next time, you got this. You got this. You got this. You got this.